Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and happy Canada Day. Thank you, everyone, for taking out time on Canada Day and making it even more meaningful. This is more memorable in a way since we are going through a difficult phase and the entire globe is trying to pull itself together. So, without any delay, let's get into it. So, this webinar is brought to you by CIEC, CCV, and Agents.CARE, where CIEC has been forefront across the years in promoting ties between India and Canada in terms of education to increase recruitment opportunities, affiliations, partnerships, and organizing trade delegations onshore and offshore. Agents.CARE is a membership-based institution which validates and screens agents from India and across the world and helps the colleges get good vetted agents. And Canada Campus Visits has been forefront in providing first-class campus tour experiences, both online and offline. And today I thank Seneca College, including the participants, Prashant, who's the head of business development across Asia, Keith, the executive director, David Agnew, who couldn't make it but has sent us a message, the president of the college, and Prabha, who's with us, who's covering part of the Seneca publications. Prashant, you would like to say something on before I just start with David's video?
No, I thank Canada Education Groups and everyone for putting together this important webinar. And in a troubled time, we're not able to reach physically and meet our partners, agents, stakeholders in international education. This is the best way to get connected and show our commitment to international education. So I thank you for this initiative. Thank you, Seneca.
So we have received multiple questions across various platforms from agents, stakeholders, trade commissioners, etc. So before we take those questions, I will just present David's message to everyone.
Hello, I'm David Agnew, president of Seneca College, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you virtually, of course, to Seneca, and also to say Happy Canada Day. And I trust you're staying safe and well in these times. I want to start off by thanking the CIEC for this opportunity through this webinar to introduce you to Seneca, to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing with Indian students and our Indian partners, and of course, a little bit about our response to the pandemic as well. But let me start with Seneca. I'm standing in this beautiful atrium of our new Center for Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship at our main campus, full of wonderful labs, robotics, mechatronics, cybersecurity, computer labs, beautiful study spaces, and socialization spaces for our students. Unfortunately, it's empty right now under the circumstances, but soon it will be again filled with students. This is one of several campuses. This is our main campus, but across the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and the Toronto region, we have several campuses welcoming about 30,000 students a year in our full-time programs. We have programs running the gamut from business to technology to healthcare and social services, the creative arts, in a range of credentials, everything from our one-year introductory certificates to our 2- and 3-year diplomas, our 4-year honors baccalaureate degrees, and our graduate certificates, very popular amongst Indian students. We're a polytechnic. That's our model of education, that combination of theory and practice at a very sophisticated level. Our focus is on getting students ready for their career, their profession, their jobs. And part of our model is to introduce wherever possible into our programs a work-integrated learning component. That might be a co-op, a placement, an internship, an externship. It might even be applied research. Something to give students the confidence when they walk across that convocation stage and into the workplace that they've, in fact, already been there. They know what it's like to work. And that's a very important differentiator. Employers really, really appreciate it. So now our relationship with India has delightfully grown in recent years quite substantially. We've been recruiting international students for more than 30 years. But the growth in the last few years of Indian students has been remarkable, in fact, across Canada. In 2019, we welcomed over 5,000 international students to Seneca. It was delightful across the range of our programs. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One is we offer, of course, across Canada, a safe and secure environment, a welcoming environment for immigrants. We're a nation that was built by immigrants, built on immigrants, and it's very important for us, as we are an aging society, to continue to keep the doors open for immigrants to come and to help our economy continue to prosper and grow. In fact, there's a political consensus across the range of views in Canada that immigration is something that's absolutely vital to our economic future. Of course, at Seneca, we are very welcoming to a diverse population. We have recruited students from more than 150 countries around the world. So you will see the diversity of the world and, in fact, the diversity of Toronto in our campuses, in our hallways. We have an extensive range of student services, everything from picking students up at the airport to those important outside the classroom academic supports, social gatherings, and all the way through to graduation. In fact, after graduation, connecting our new graduates to our alumni network, which is literally spread around the world. We're also delighted. It's not just about student recruitment. That's very, very important. But it's also about our partnerships in India, both with academic institutions and with others. And let me just talk about 3 of them. We're delighted that we have welcomed, literally at this point, thousands of Indian nurses and nurses recruited from other countries by InSchool, our training partner that's located in Chandigarh. It's a wonderful program that brings registered nurses to Canada to study our graduate certificates, again, a very sophisticated level of education. They're going to prepare for their Canadian nursing exams and join the Canadian healthcare system as important parts of our response to an aging population, the rise in chronic diseases, and of course, occasionally, a pandemic. We also have an important relationship with the National Institute for Financial Management, an autonomous arm of the Ministry of Finance of the Government of India. It's a training program for their probationers and their recruits coming in mid-career. They are an important part of their training program as an international experience. And we are delighted that we have given that international experience to more than 300 civil servants of the Government of India in topics ranging from cybersecurity to artificial intelligence to blockchain. We have a new relationship, we're just delighted, with the ISTM, the Institute for Secretariat Training and Management, a training arm of the Government of India, and we welcomed our first batch of trainees last fall. Those are examples of the kind of partnerships that Seneca wants to build and continue to build with our academic partners and our training partners in India and, in fact, around the world. It's part of our diversification approach that allows us to offer a whole range of experiences, always building out of our pedagogical experience and our pedagogical expertise, but offering a range of training and management, particularly in these days. Now, of course, we, like many institutions, had to deal with this galloping virus coming in, declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization in March, and it really started to spike in Canada, and that's when the entire post-secondary system went virtual, went online in the space of a week. And we stayed online, we're still online. Now, we responded very quickly with an emergency benefit program for our students, with an amazing amount of training for our faculty to move online, and we've successfully completed the semester for all but a handful of our students back in April. We made the difficult but necessary, from a health and safety point of view, decision to stay online for the summer. But now, as the Canadian economy and the Canadian society, the Canadian businesses and services reopened gradually, safely, slowly, we're able to make the decision for the fall to, while yes, keeping a lot of things online, reopen our labs and our studios and our airplanes for those students who need that practical in-person component in our labs. We're starting with a pilot program this summer to allow that handful of students who weren't able to finish in April back on campus. But we're going to do it respectfully, we're going to do it gradually, and we're always going to do it with the safety and health of our students and our broader community, including, of course, our employees, first in mind. It's been a challenging time for all of us, and I think in a post-pandemic world, we'll all reflect on the lessons we've learned. We're delighted that the Canadian government has been responsive, and I know Prashant will fill you in with some more details on how the immigration system has evolved to adapt to the pandemic. But we're just delighted that throughout this piece. Seneca has kept its virtual doors open, its virtual relationships very strong, and we know that we're going to come out of this with our partners stronger than ever. So thank you again for joining us today on this webinar. I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Prashant, and I wish you all stay safe and stay well. Thanks very much.
That was David Agnew, President from Seneca. So I hand over you to Prashant and Keith for some questions which have been brought up by many of our members. The first question comes in, right, because of this anti-COVID-19, the future aspirations of students. How do you foresee, what should they be considering now?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fennel, for your question. And this is a very important question in this situation, that what should be the future aspiration of Indian students despite of COVID-19. So before answering it, I just want to give you a context of Indian students in Canada. There are over 225,000 Indian students enrolled in post-secondary institutions in Canada. Oh, and you will be surprised to know in 2019, among all student visa approval, 35% study permit approval was for Indian students. So Indian students constitute the largest number of international students in Canada. And the growth has been phenomenal. Like if we compare it with since 2014, the growth rate is 350%. So there is a large number of students, and many of them are studying in Ontario. They are in big cities, or Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. So when this pandemic started, it came with a lot of challenges for Indian students. They were working part-time in many of while studying. So when the lockdown started in Canada, their jobs were not secure. Many of them, they came into financial stress. They were not used to of the notion of social stress, social distancing, and physical distancing. So this was new, because culturally students from India, they stay together. So for them, this pandemic has brought a lot of challenges. Their family income has also decreased. Having said that, the trends what we are seeing, and the research what has been done so far by different outlets like India Today or Shiksha.com in India, we see that over 72% of respondents have shown interest in studying abroad despite of COVID-19. And more than 57%, they prefer to study in Canada and USA. So Canada is definitely on the radar of Indian students despite of pandemic. The India Today survey reports that 91% of students would like to continue even during COVID-19. But what we are seeing the trend while working in Seneca, we are seeing there is a temporary pause also, because students from India, they want to physically come to Canada, experience the international arena of Canada, and that attracts them a lot actually. It's the destination choice. So many of them, they are deferring it to next subsequent intake, but they are not canceling. So there is a postponement of their study plans, but not the cancellation. And many students are also signing up for online courses as well. So that's also a new trend. However, for longer term, students, they really want to come to Canada, but for shorter term, because there are certain incentives and benefits have been announced by Canadian government, which for which they will get the benefits of postgraduate work permit. Some of them are temporarily choosing to study online and proceed with their educational continuity plan as well. So this is a trend we are seeing, and plus, like India is a large country, over 37 million people are enrolled in, students are enrolled in post-secondary education. So the demand is always there in India. However, yes, there is a temporary pause, but that is a postponement. It's not the cancellation of their study abroad plans for Canada. Thank you.
Thanks, Prashant. As a follow-up to what you said, maybe it's Keith who can answer is, say with the global economy going downhill, people are trying to come up. What is the advice to the students in terms of how they perceive the course or what should they plan, even if it's next year, this thing is not current.
Well, thank you for that question, Fidel. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to participate in this discussion. Certainly the global economy and the stresses that it has created in terms of underemployment, job loss, job insecurity, etc., is a reality that we're facing, not just in Canada, but everywhere. The opportunity here is, with these, with the COVID situation, and as Prashant mentioned, many of our students who are here from India are working part-time, and so they are really on the front lines of facing some of the impacts around job loss. I think that, first of all, when we're talking about thinking about students who are contemplating coming to Canada for the first time, it's critical to be very realistic about the time that we're in. So what do we mean by that? I think that it's important for us all, when we're making these kinds of major life decisions that pose significant risk, is to look at your current situation and ask the question, does it make sense to take on this additional burden and risk right now? What is your family, spouse, child care, financial situation? These are very important issues. What kinds of supports do you have in the Greater Toronto area if you're leaving India and coming to Canada? All of these things are practical things that we all think about, but when you're taking on that kind of risk, and especially given the global economic downturn, being realistic about your situation and talking it through with your parents and your family, I think will be a very important thing. This pandemic is huge, but it is a blip, right? We will at some point achieve, either through vaccine or herd immunity, we will get back to a new normal. Will it be the same as it was before? Probably not, but will it be a new normal? So I think that is really critical in terms of just thinking about your situation, which includes family, childcare, finances, etc., the supports that you have in country in Canada, and understanding also that what is the urgency. If you are, if you're 22 years old versus 32 years old, the sense of urgency may be also quite different in terms of wanting to come to Canada and get moving on your career. So I think that there is a huge opportunity in terms of coming to Canada and studying, and certainly one of the safest countries to be in during COVID. But that is just one of many factors that students and learners need to take into consideration with their families as they consider this move.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, that's very insightful. So, as a follow-up to that, if there are students who want to come, right, because there may be some parts where there are no restrictions, no lockdown, or still attend. So, in terms of government restriction, how do you foresee programs will happen this fall?
This question is for Keith or for Prashant?
Whoever can answer this question.
Keith, would you like to?
Fennel, could you just briefly repeat the question? I wasn't able to hear you.
So, we have got messages that if we as international students want to come over in this fall, because there are no restrictions from their country or like things are easing up, right? This is July. Maybe come end of August, the restrictions are opened up. How do you foresee the classes that happen? Because we have spoken about online classes or like maybe a mix of online, offline courses, but then how do they do that? And possibly once they attend this year, and with the global situation, as you mentioned about how priorities that need to take place, the internships. So these two things will tackle it.
Yes. So, yeah, that's a great question. And I think that, one of the things that will drive a lot of our decisions on how the curriculum will be delivered is based on our local public health authority. And the local public health authority is driving how many people we can have in a room of a certain size, for example, how many people that we can have on any of our campuses across the GTA. That is a reality. The good news is the college has, over the last number of years, invested heavily in a digital strategy. This digital strategy is it not only addresses the back-end business processes, it also addresses systems of engagement with our students to support them. It includes systems that engage our partners, including our agent network around the world. So from the back end to the service level, we've invested heavily in these systems already. In addition to that, our digital strategy encompasses a number of our courses that are already geared to online, distance, or remote learning. And the philosophy behind that in terms of pedagogy and how we support the faculty in terms of that delivery and how we work with the staff in terms of that delivery are areas that we've been working on for a number of years. So fortunately, Seneca is well positioned in this COVID environment to be delivering. So that's kind of the first thing. If students come under these conditions, there will be a mix of in-person and online or remote learning. With respect to the experiences like internships and things like that, I think that was the other part of your question. We have thousands of industry partners that are dealing with the COVID situation right now, are in active discussion with us right now in terms of our program advisory committees and those sorts of things in terms of what is the impact of COVID on their businesses and how do we, as part of the supply chain, feeding in future labor into these markets, how do we adjust our curriculum to support them? So that's kind of one level of engagement that we have. Another level of engagement is a lot of these industries are looking to pivot rapidly to new ways of delivering. And what better way to do that than with recent graduates who have the currency of today's skills. In addition to that, we have a very robust applied research capability within the college that allows students access to working with industry on industry problems. And that gives them access to local industry so that they can then begin to work, get that experience in terms of what industry wants, but also start to build a relationship with these industries as well. So that's an example of an internship, if you will. And then finally, I would say with our Helix unit, we've launched over 100 companies, if you will, or new entities through the Helix program. And so that also is an environment, a culture, if you will, around entrepreneurship that allows students to gain access to some of these tangible skills that they will need in the new kind of post-COVID marketplace. So whether it be from a digital perspective, a service perspective, a curriculum perspective, working with our thousands of partners in terms of getting access to experiential learning or gaining internship type opportunities, either through industry or through our units within Seneca. And with the support of individuals like Prashant and his team, we're able to really help broker these relationships when students come to Seneca.
So, Kate, when you say Helix is your incubator?
Yes, Helix is an incubator.
That sounds good. All right, so I think I should move towards Prashant for the more soft aspects. So when what we get questions is the assurance of safety for students going forward, it's maybe COVID gets over, we get a vaccination in next couple of months or a year. In terms of safety, the assurance to parents, in terms of how things is, what is going to be the new normal in the college campuses.
So means panel Seneca has taken a lot of steps to encourage the safe hygiene and health practices, which are key to prevent the spread of the virus. The campus has a lot of cleaning protocols, sanitizers which are available. Also, day and night, they are disinfecting the surfaces. So a lot of emphasis is given on that. Also, whatever the government guidelines will come in subsequent months, that will be adhered and followed in terms of implementing the social distancing and physical distancing in case there is a requirement for students to come to do lab work. And as Keith has said, many of the courses are being now delivered in the online mode. So for large number of students, we are not looking to have a large gathering on campus. So we are going to definitely follow the new norms, which will include social distancing and physical distancing while delivering the education. So even the current May semester is completely online, and students remotely they have joined. Having said that, if the students they come to Canada, we have made arrangements with the hotel and also with our own residence where students can self quarantine, because anyone who comes now with this situation with with the travel guidelines, they would have to go into self quarantine. So we have made arrangements with Sheraton Hotel at Pearson International Airport, where students can stay for 14 nights, and means including the food and meals, all the arrangements are taken care through this hotel relationship. But definitely there is a cost to it, and students would have to directly pay to the hotel. And arrangements we also have at our King residence. We have a residence at our King campus, wherein students can quarantine for 14 nights. Single suite accommodation with kitchenette and private bathroom is available. Also, we are working with our health insurance provider for international students, that is MoreCare. So because for international students, health insurance, a private health insurance is mandatory, and when they study at Seneca, we take care of it. It is covered as part of their tuition. All full-time students at Seneca traveling to Canada, in case they have to travel in August, will be covered under the MoreCare's early arrival coverage for emergency procedures, which include accidental sickness, etc. So we are taking a variety of steps to take care of the students who have future aspirations to come to Canada. Again, depending on how the travel guidelines will shape up and when the commercial flights will resume between Canada and India.
So essentially, you have done tie-ups with various service providers to facilitate students, so they don't have to hunt around for like
Yes.
quarantine facilities or like questions or insurance, etc.
Yes, and these are very important questions
Right.
to be addressed. We have taken care of that. Also, I would just like to highlight here, when the pandemic started, Seneca came up with the Emergency Relief Fund, and we, in partnership with Seneca Student Federation, distributed over $2 million in as emergency aid to 9,000 domestic and international students. So that was a big step as a response to COVID-19 for our current students who are already in Canada. We also provided 9,000 laptops. We distributed 9,000 laptops to international and domestic students who need help with online learning as well. So a lot of efforts have been done, and also for the interest of your viewers, we would also I would like to say that the Indo-Canadian community and the Canadian community in general came up with a big support for international students. Some NGOs like Canada India Foundation, Indian Consulate, they distributed groceries and also necessary supplies to international students. So variety of ways, I would say, and also CRB benefits, for which Prime Minister Trudeau announced that international students can also apply for those benefits. So Canada as a country has come together in this troubled time to support our international students. And it is how we are dealing with the situation. And that is what I want to assure you. We want to assure you, the teams of Seneca want to assure international students, their parents, their friends, that they will be well taken care of. And this is what I can say, panel, at this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really comforting the quantum of procedures and types you have done to enable the students and parents to take comfort in coming to the country as they are on their own. One interesting question that has come up is about scholarships, typically in Canada and scholarships perspective. So two questions on this, right? One, how do you see students enabling to get scholarships in general in Canada and especially for Seneca? How does the system work, or what do you see in that?
So, panel, for scholarship, like in general about Canada, in the college system, the tuition fees, when we compare with the international markets, is already significantly less than compared to UK, US, or Australia. So we are well positioned with tuition fee, and actually, like when we compare the tuition fee of Canadian colleges, it is equivalent to some of the universities, private universities or private colleges may charge in India actually. So in that way, means when there is a boom from Indian middle class to study in Canada, it is also because the affordability. The tuition fee itself is affordable as well. When it comes to scholarship, each institution in Canada has its own policy to govern scholarship, to award scholarship. At Seneca, we offer 10 interest scholarship to international students. They can be up to $1,000 to $2,000. The student can apply when they are applying, and we recommend students to have GPA of 3 or higher. So, for example, 80% or higher Indian marks. These are the students who could be considered for scholarship. So when they submit an application at Seneca, they get a confirmation number. So they can go online on at Seneca portal, create an account by which they can submit their request for scholarship. There will be a set of questionnaire which they have to answer, and based on that, they will be considered in the pool of scholarship applicants. So that's how the scholarship is given. It is renewable also. So for example, if students, they perform well in subsequent semesters, they achieve a GPA of 3 or higher, which could be the requirement for specific scholarships, they can continue getting those scholarships. So opportunities are there in Canada for scholarships in the college system, definitely. And moreover, the value add, I would say, in our programs is the co-op, the experiential learning which is embedded in the program, which gives students an opportunity to work as well. So student is able to apply his education, they are able to earn. So it becomes a study, work, and live program for international students actually.
That's a fantastic, and that's really thankful for your responses. I mean, these are the key questions we have been asked on the panel and by many of our subscribers and on live. I mean, we have no other questions to ask, but if anything else you think you want to send out a message to Indian students or any of your stakeholders in education, please feel free to have like a closing remark as well.
So I wish everyone a happy Canada Day. Yeah, it's cannot be any day better than this to start this conversation about international education and Canada, the destination of choice for international students. I would also like to keep Monrose here as well. So Keith can remark. He is the new executive director at Seneca International with a vast international projects and partnership experience. So I will let Keith speak, and he can give his remarks and welcome message to our audience. Thank you, Fennel.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Fennel. And thank you to the Canadian India Education Council for the opportunity again for Seneca to participate in your forum. On behalf of the senior team at Seneca College, we are so thrilled to be part of these conversations and to be given an opportunity to address your audience. We don't take it for granted. We have a significant number of our students are from India. We recognize the diversity of India, the importance of India, and the impact that India has on our local economy here in Canada. It is so important that we continue to work together like this because Canada needs to have students from India to come into our system, to be educated, to work in our businesses, to contribute to our communities, and to build stronger bridges between Canada and India. So this is absolutely a thrill for me to spend part of my Canada Day with all of you. And on behalf of Seneca College, we thank you for the opportunity to address you today. Happy Canada Day.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. So just to summarize, right, it's been a wonderful day that you guys have spent together on Canada Day. It's a wonderful, memorable day, as I said. And as part of CIEC, like we have always been forefront of the Indo-Canadian education sector. We intend to bring out more relevant topics as the months go by. And we are happy whether it's Seneca or any other stakeholder in the education sector for Indo-Canadian sector wants to ask questions, wants to have various topics to be addressed to. We are listening, send us a message, and we are happy to have webinars for those topics. And especially we at Canada Campus Visits have been facilitating offline campus tours as with COVID, especially with people not being able to come online to campuses, actually see a live event. So we have been trying to promote offline views, which helps reach more students and helps colleges showcase what are the facilities and what are the activities they can experience when they are on campus. So I would thank you everyone who's on the call and who has been on a live stream for all the questions and being supportive of us and on this webinar. Thank you so much and hope to see you in the next webinar on 1st of August. Till then, take care and happy Canada Day.